So no doubt you probably heard by now that the NDP has ended its little partnership or little coalition with the Liberal Party. This is good if you're a Canadian. This could mean some good things. This could mean early election. This could mean, that and the NDP see that the Liberals are taking water in the ship essentially, and that ship's going down, and we can get a good change in government in Canada, which would be just amazing because you are a Canadian or you're sympathetic to our plight up here. You know that we've dealt with about 10 years of this idiot in power and his regime. But I'm going to read this article here. This is CBC, so this is the Canadian. This is the Canadian equivalent of our clown news network, one of them. So let's see what they have to say here. How the NDP's deal with the Liberals died. I've highlighted a bunch of this stuff. I'll just read the highlighted at best, maybe not even all of it, because again, CBC kind of. Oh wait, all my highlights went. Great. I think I remember where I highlighted anyway, but okay, here we go. On the same day, the Liberal government's House leader told reporters she was confident her party's governance agreement with the NDP would last until June 2025. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has been busy recording a video in front of Parliament saying he was killing the deal. I'm fairly confident that agreement is a good agreement. It's a strong agreement, and we'll get to the end of June, Karina Gould told an early morning news conference at the federal cabinet retreat in Halifax on August 27th. It's funny. 1 week later, Gould and the rest of the Liberal cabinet were hit with a political bombshell that caught them completely by surprise. When the NDP pulled out of the supply and confidence agreement that was set to keep the Liberal minority government in power through to next June. What you don't know, and a lot of people don't know, is that Jagmeet gets a full pension as of, I forget what point it is next year. I think it might even be like May or June. So I think part of that agreement was to keep an election from being called before then, so that he would, nothing would change. He'd be in power until then. But by doing this, it kind of puts him at a little bit of risk, because if the Liberal government were to try and pull an early election, that could end up in Jagmeet's demise. He might get voted out as the voted out of his riding and voted out of the party, and lose some of his pension. But so this was a pretty big. I don't know. There's a pretty big decision to do this at this point. Okay, so the decision could see the government topple before fall of 2025 and introduces a new degree of instability to the coming sitting of the House of Commons set to start September 16th. The sources spoke on the condition they not be named, as they were not authorized to speak publicly about internal party operations. CBC News agreed to the condition in order to get a better understanding of the decision and the timeline of the events. The NDP had been hammering out the details of their plan to leave the deal for at least a month before Singh's video was released. Some NDP staffers and MPs said the deal was tying the NDP to a toxic Liberal brand, pulling up to 20% points behind Pierre Poilievre's Conservative. So if you know anything about our government, if you're watching this, you probably do. You know that Pierre Poilievre is probably going to be our next prime minister, which is great because while he's a conservative, he leans a little bit more towards a moderate conservative, and he's going to do some things, according to his plan, to start to spur on some growth in the housing market. And if you live in Canada or you know anything about even the North American economy, essentially at this point, the housing market is rampant. There's not enough homes to the amount of immigration, so obviously that drives prices up like crazy, and it's very hard for people to get in as first-time home buyers, excuse me, in a market that's way overpriced. So this could all be good things, obviously, having a change in government and having a more moderate conservative leader to push that end. So you read Pierre Poilievre's plan, it actually makes a lot of sense, a lot of common sense there. So okay, so let's get on to here, down here. Let me see here. So I don't want to read any more of this. What had happened, basically, I'll summarize. So what had happened is they had leaked it out that this was gonna happen via an email. The email got to the CBC. The email was leaked before the video went on social media, so it got out just beforehand. And then obviously the Liberal Party was caught off guard to say they didn't know that was happening. And whatever. Now now there's a little bit of contention between the two parties, the NDP and the Liberal Party, which just makes for a good. I would say this: when you have a minority government like the Liberal government that's going on right now, if the less they can do in their term, the better. So when they don't have a coalition going on with another party, it's always the NDPs because they're always the ones in the middle. When they don't have that coalition going, then they can't make anything really happen. You just have kind of stagnancy, and stagnancy in the interim is better than a bunch of bad policies to try and have to walk back, or for a new government to step in and have to correct. So this is good. This is good news for Canada, for the political landscape in general. And if they do call an early election, that's even better news. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that one.